Okay, folks, I'm back again after we did that Hebrew class this morning, and I want to put another video out regarding the Lilith theory. And we have been going through this material now. This is the third, actually, it's the fourth video I've done. I did the first video, which had some of the introductory material. That was a long time ago. And then I decided to pick it up again. And I don't know what piqued my interest about it. I guess there was a conversation we had a while ago, and I wanted to go through this material. And it's really just meant to be a discovery process, and whether you accept or not accept, that's kind of irrelevant. It's for just academic. There might be things in here that might increase your knowledge of certain elements. For example, Azazel, very important to consider. And so what I'm going to do is, let's see, knock this out. We'll knock this one out. Okay, all right, so now we've got our scripture and we got the book. Okay, so we're going to talk today about the reign of Yahweh in the thorn bushes of the field. Notice that I use Yahweh. I don't use Jehovah. Jehovah is we believe that it's not a proper representation of the divine name, although I don't get all wrapped up on that. But the reign of Yahweh in the thorn bushes of the field. So I'll be using Yahweh. And we'll start here. The key to fully understanding the message of the string A doublet is to understand the mystical symbolism of the key items mentioned. I shall establish in the next paragraphs that the rain caused by Yahweh is not an ordinary raining down of water, but rather a raining down of curses down upon the earth in Noah's flood. I shall also show that the thorn bushes of the field represent Lilith's generations, whom are the descendants of the serpent Lilith's infamous seed, Azazel. Okay, so before I go on here, I forgot to put the room. I need the room ID in there. Seems like one of these days I'm going to remember that. It's www.hmisrael.video, and that will get you into a Zoom room. So if you want to ask some questions or discuss this with me, go ahead. In a kindly and educational forum. Okay, let's go back to this again. The author is talking about establishing that the rain caused by Yahweh is not an ordinary raining down of water, but rather a raining down of curses down upon the earth in Noah's flood. And I will also show that the thorn bushes of the field represent Lilith's generations, whom are the descendants of the serpent Lilith's infamous seed Azazel. Okay, so the doublet construct equates Adam's serving Ha'adamah, the ground, to Yahweh's causing it to rain for the woman, part 4 of table 3.2. These are related in that both are cursing events. After Adam fell, Yahweh ejected him from the garden and cursed him to serve Ha'adamah, the ground, in the sweat of his face. Now notice that in the previous chapter, we talked about this word Ha'adamah. Notice that Adam is the singular masculine and Adamah is the singular feminine. Now, some cases, when we read in the Genesis narrative, in this Lilith theory understanding, Ha'adamah can refer to Lilith at the time of the creation of Adam, but in other times it refers to the ground itself. And it can be interpreted both ways. It's the same word, but it can be interpreted both different ways depending on the context of it. But in this case, it's the ground. Okay, so this is Genesis 3:17 and 24. Let's take a look at that. Uh-oh. Why do we not have? Okay. For some reason we don't have Bible Hub here. Get that back there. Okay, so Genesis 3:17 and 24. come up with? Okay, then Adam said, because you have listened to the voice, then to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten from the tree about which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Now notice that the ground, the word ground here in the Hebrew, okay, and here it is, ha-adamah, ha-adamah. In that case, we're talking about the earth itself. Okay, and then verse 24, let's see what we got in 24. It says here, so he drove the man out, and at the east of the Garden of Eden, he stationed the cherubim and the flaming sword, which turned every direction to guard the way to the tree of life. Interesting. Okay, thus Adam serving the ground refers to the man's curses. Likewise, man caused it to rain, and the other half of the doublet refers to woman's curses. The verb for cause to rain is hamatar. It is a hifal, or a hifal, or causative. The QAO. This has to do with verb forms. There's like the binyan is like 7. It's like a tree that's got 7 branches, and there's several different verb forms. Whether it's like it's you're causing it to happen to someone, or whether it's happening to you, and all these different variations in Hebrew. So in this case, this is Strong's number matar. It comes. It's a hifal form of matar, Strong's 4305, which means to rain or to pelt down. Much like the English verb rain, the Hebrew matar can refer to the raining down of water or the pelting down of any item. For example, a boxer could rain down blows upon his opponent. Surprisingly, the connotation matar within the Bible is not positive, but negative. Matar is used 13 other times in the Bible, and all but 3 of these cases it refers to Yahweh's raining down of curses upon the earth. Interesting. So there is a double meaning here when it talks about rain coming down upon the earth. In this instance, the mystical meaning of hamatar denotes Yahweh's raining down of bitter water curses. The principle of first, remember that was the principle of first, go back here. Principle of first appearances. Remember that? Okay, so the principle of first appearances for hamatar in Genesis 2:5 is defined by the only exact spelling of the word elsewhere in the Bible. This comes in Genesis 19:24. Okay, so let's take a look at Genesis 2:5. And it says here, when no bush of the field was yet in the land, and no small plant of the field had yet sprung up, for Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain on the land. Look at that. So what he's saying is that this goes beyond just the physical aspect. This goes beyond, this goes to a, that this word rain in verse 5 here, matar. Look at this Hebrew here. Okay, there it is. And it's part of matar, him-tir, part of the matar one here. And there it is, to rain, and it has to do with causing it to send down, and from a spiritual aspect, it is a cursing. Well, that's what he's the point he's making here. Okay, it's the only exact spelling of the word elsewhere. In other words, it's defined by the only exact spelling of the word elsewhere in the Bible. This comes in Genesis 19:24. There Yahweh hamater, it's actually hamatir, caused to rain down fire and brimstone upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Look at that. Thus, the mystical evidence is that the rains which Yahweh caused to fall in Genesis 2:5 was a cursing event that led to the thorn bushes of the field coming to exist. Indeed, the next mention of any matar rain in the Bible comes in Genesis 7:4. Let's take a look at that, Genesis 19:24. Okay. Well, that's Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and it says here, the sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. Then the master rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah. So it's using that same word. Let's take a look at that word, verse 24. Okay, okay, and there it is. Him-tir. Him-tir. He doesn't transliterate that very well. Maybe he's not. It really should be translated like this: him-tir. Him-tir. It means to pelt down in a judgment sense. Okay. Okay, there, God, him-tir, caused to rain down fire and brimstone upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Thus, the mystical evidence is that the rains, in other words, this could be transliterated in a better way, like maybe like that. Him-tir, kind of like maybe that would be a little better transliteration. Okay, thus the mystical evidence is that the rains which Yahweh caused to fall in Genesis chapter 2, verse 5 were a cursing event that led to the thorn bushes of the field coming to exist. Indeed, the next mention of any matar, this would be the root of that word, rain, in the Bible comes in Genesis 7:4. There, Yahweh declares he will cause a cursing, matar, upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Wow, look at that. To bring about Noah's flood. As we shall see, the matar rain of Genesis 2:5 is most likely a reference to the rains of Noah. Wow. Okay, so let's take a look at that Genesis 7:4. Okay, okay, so here it is. For after 7 more days, I will cause it to rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and I will destroy from the face of the earth all living things that I have made. So remember, this was the curse that was put upon the earth because ungodliness and flesh had corrupted itself to such a degree that the Almighty had to send a flood. And only 8 souls were saved alive on an ark that Noah built over a period of around 120 years. It's pretty amazing that this word is only used in a negative connotation. So that kind of gives a different spin on that scripture. So now we lost there it is. All right, as we shall see, the matar rain of Genesis 2:5 is most likely a reference to the rains of Noah. The cursed nature of the rain, which Yahweh caused, is also seen in the literal meaning of the Hebrew word used for thorn bushes of the field. The word is siach. Strong 7880. Siach plants are mentioned 3 times elsewhere in the Bible: Genesis 21:15 and Job 30. Let's look at Genesis 21:15. Why is that? I see what's going on. Okay, yeah, when the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes, and here it is right here. Hasiach. Looks like Hasahim. Hasahim, 7880. Hasahim, okay. But the base form of that word is siach, and it's bushes. Okay, so that's what he's getting at. Okay, and then Job 30, 4 and 7. Let's take a look at Job 30. Okay, 4, who pluck mallow from the bushes and broom tree roots for their food. Okay, let's look at that Hebrew there. Okay. So Job 30, verse 4. We should try that one. Okay, who pluck mallow by the bushes. And here it is, siach. There it is in that form there, siach. Roots and broom tree for their food. Okay, so that's that siach. That siach has to do with, in each case, they are plants in desert wastelands. In the two cases of Job, they are in a desert waste formerly flooded by a cursing deluge. Siach literally means to speak or to complain. Siach may have come to be used to refer to the wasteland plants because of the thorns or bitter taste. Siach probably refers to thorn bushes or some similar harsh plant associated with desolated deserts. Let me take this off here. There we go. Okay, so now we're at the generations of the heavens and the Nephilim. There is intriguing evidence in the creation account that the bushes of the field must represent the Nephilim offspring of Lilith. Look at that. Let's change that color. The passage discusses the generation of the woman and the man. It is clear from the text that the bushes of the field and the herbs of the field represent the generational seed of these two heads. This means that the thorn bushes of the field represent Lilith's generations. In chapter 6, we will discuss the evidence in the Bible and other books that Lilith's descendants come from her mating with fallen angels called watchers. Now, where do we find this? Okay, so we find this in Genesis chapter 6. Okay, this part is Genesis chapter 6. And the book of Enoch. Book of Enoch 1 goes into detail about this, okay? So look those up. And so these watchers apparently came down to Mount Hermon, and they made a pact among themselves, according to the book of Enoch. And basically, they chose for themselves a leader, and they made a pact, and they said, we're going to have sex with human women and produce these half God, half man, progeny, children. Turns out that the children that got produced were these hideous looking giants. And then those giants had children. They were a little smaller, and those giants had children. They were a little smaller. There's like 3 or 4 different orders of those giants as time went on before the flood. And so that's what that's talking about there. Okay, so this means the thorn bushes of the field represent Lilith's generations. In chapter 6, we will discuss the evidence in the Bible and other books that Lilith's descendants come from her mating with fallen angels called watchers. The firstborn of this mating, and perhaps the only born, is Azazel, the scapegoat. Okay, this guy here. Now, if you read in your King James about the scapegoat, it literally spells this guy out, Azazel. He's the one that was the name put on that goat during the most holy day of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Happened one day in the year when the Israelites, the high priest was to to make atonement for the nation. And so they would slaughter the lamb and put the blood on the altar and make atonement. He would be in there making atonement, praying and asking forgiveness for the nation's sins. And then he would come out and he would confer those sins on a goat. And they called this goat Azazel. Look at this. And then they would take that goat. They would have guys take that goat out to a cliff, and they would push that goat off a cliff, and it would go down to its death. Okay. So if you doubt that scapegoat is really underneath where it says scapegoat in the King James, Azazel, let me show you that real quick. Okay, now here it is, Leviticus 16. There it is, for Azazel, let Azazel. Okay, in other words, the lam is a preposition. It means two or four, and then Azazel. Isn't that something? That demon's name is in your Bible, and they called the scapegoat for Azazel. The high priest would lay his hands and confer all the sins of the nation on that goat and say Azazel, for Azazel, and then they would take him and throw him off a cliff. That happened once a year. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so the firstborn of this mating, and perhaps the only born, is Azazel, who was the infamous seed of the serpent in the garden. Azazel is the firstborn of the Nephilim, who are the giant offspring of the Watchers, mating with Lilith and the daughters of Adam. Notice that. Now, who mated with Lilith? I think it was the leader of that group. That's Samael. Let me double check that. Yeah. Let's see here. I think he was Samael. Let me double check that. Maybe it's some Jaza. Might be some Jaza. Yeah, okay, that might be it. Samael is an archangel. I was thinking the wrong one. Some Jaza. Yeah, that's right. And doesn't he get involved with Lilith? No, it might be Samael. Okay. All right. All right, we'll see more of this. I don't want to get too off on a rabbit trail here. I don't want to get off on a rabbit trail. Okay, so let's see here. The firstborn of this mating, and perhaps the only born, is Azazel, who was the infamous seed of the serpent in the garden. Azazel. In the garden, okay, Azazel is firstborn of the Nephilim, who are the giant offspring of the Watchers, mating with Lilith and the daughters of Adam. The Nephilim, by the way, Nephilim comes from a Hebrew word nephal, which means to fall upon. It's like a violent kind of thing. Nearly drove pure-blooded mankind to extinction before the flood. And it is for this reason that Yahweh brought the flood to cleanse the earth of their impurity. Do you ever wonder why Yahweh brought the flood? Well, even outside of the Lilith theory, this is generally accepted by Bible scholars, that the flood had to come, or else the very line of Messiah would have been snuffed out, because they were polluting the genetics, just like the kind of stuff they're doing today. They're mixing genes, doing devilish stuff today, just like they were before the flood. There is textual evidence in the Genesis creation account to support the notion that the thorn bushes of the field represent Nephilim. Interesting. First, consider the literal meaning of the thorn bushes in the field. The siach hasadeh As also mentioned, the literal meaning of siach is to speak or to complain. Thus, verse 5 could be most literally translated to say that after Yahweh had rained down curses upon the earth, speakings or complaints of the field came to exist in the earth. The notion of speaking and complaining voices comes from the field, reminds us of the voice of the slain Abel, whose blood in the ground cried up to Yahweh. Remember when Cain slew his brother Abel? It says Abel's blood fell to the ground and suddenly it had a voice. It sprung up to heaven and said, "Give me justice." It complained about it. This suggests speaking voices of the field could be the cryings of the spirits of Lilith's slain Nephilim seed during the flood. In other words, all those giants were destroyed in the flood. And so their deaths, spoke up in a complaint. Rabbinic tradition holds that when a Nephilim was slain, its spirit did not depart the earth, for it was not accepted in Yahweh's presence. So where do we get demons? Where do we get these foul spirits? In this understanding, even outside of Lilith, this understanding is held up in Enoch, in Jubilees, and in all the 66 books of the Bible. Slain Nephilim became disembodied demon spirits that roamed the earth even after the flood. So how do people get demon possessed? It's the spirit of a half angel human woman. It's a giant. Okay, they have no redemption at all. They have no redeeming quality at all. They are purely evil, and that's why demons. You don't want to get in a situation to where you're having to, a demon gets into your life somehow. Because boy, that demon will tear things up in a flat minute. Okay, this is why we make sure that. Well, I'm kind of getting into my preaching mode here, but this is why we make sure we pray for our children. This is why we make sure we baptize. This is why we make sure that we are following our Father's commandments, because any hedge that's broken, what does the Bible say? A hedge that's broken, a serpent shall bite them. Have you ever read that? Let's see if we can find that. Whoever breaketh the hedge, the serpent shall bite them. There it is, Ecclesiastes 10. Here it is right here. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and whoever breaks through a wall, Gadar, will be bitten by, look at this, Nahash. Nahash. That's a demon. A serpent, Nahash. Okay. All right. So, okay, so this rain is coming down. It's destroying these Nephilim. At that time, Noah and 8 souls saved alive are on the ark. Okay, this is the thing here. That the complaining voice of the field could be in reference to Lilith's slain Nephilim spirits is further supported by the principle of first. I want to say principle of first mention, but there's another word that he's using. Principle of first appearances. That's what it is. It's kind of like the principle of first mention. Okay. Principle of first mention for siach. That's these bushes that have these thorns on them. The first exact spelling of siach elsewhere in the Bible comes in 1 Kings 18:27. Okay, 1 Kings 18:27. Okay, okay, so Kings 18:27. Okay, and at noon Elijah began to taunt them, saying, "Shout louder, for he is a god. Perhaps he is deep in thought or occupied or on a journey. Perhaps he is sleeping and must be awakened." Is that the right one? Yeah. Okay. The first exact spelling of Siach elsewhere in the Bible comes in 1 Kings 18:27. All right. So where is it at here? Let's take a look at the Hebrew. Where Siach is. Son of a gun, here it is. Siach. Look at that. Okay, and it has to do in reference to these false gods, to these demons. Isn't that something? Nephilim, disembodied Nephilim spirits, which are demons. And what does Paul say? That all false idols are worshiping of what? Demons. You see that? Here's Elijah the prophet. He's on the mountaintop, and remember that story where Elijah the prophet, and he got 400 prophets of Baal, false prophets of Baal, and they were cutting themselves. They were calling on their God because there was this contest, and they were trying to get fire to come down from heaven and burn up this wood that had all this water on it, but they couldn't get anything to happen, and they were cutting themselves and hollering, So Elijah the prophet begins to mock them and say, he can't hear you. Maybe he can't hear you. Maybe he's meditating. There it is, Siach. Or is busy, or he's on a journey, and perhaps he is sleeping. He must be awakened first. So Prophet Elijah was mocking these guys. But notice this here, he is meditating. And look at that, it's the same word, Siach, which is thorn bush, which in the spiritual metaphysical symbolism of it is these disembodied giant spirits, these demons. Okay, interesting. There, Elijah mocks the priests of Baal, claiming that their God could not respond to his challenge because Baal was busy Siach, talking or complaining. Thus, Siach is associated with the speech of demons. And verse 5 could be mystically understood to say that after the reign of Elohim, the speaking or complaints of demons appeared in the earth. Okay, if the complaining voices of the field are the demonic slain Nephilim, seed of Lilith, then Yahweh's raining down of curses upon the earth should be in reference to the rains of Noah's flood. These floods slew the Nephilim. Is there any textual evidence in the current creation account to support this? Yes, there is. The bushes of the field did not exist before Yahweh had not yet caused it to rain. Interesting. The actual raining event, which brings about the bushes, goes unspecified in the immediate passages. However, the next mention of any kind of matar, which is that root word for rain, in the Bible comes in Genesis 7:4. There, Yahweh declares he will cause a matar, rain upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights to bring about Noah's flood. Could this be the future rain mentioned in verse 5? It certainly seems the case when all evidences are considered. We have already seen the principle of first. One of these days I'll remember. Principle of first, it's the A part that gets me messed up. First appearances. Okay, one of these days. All right, so principle of first appearances. See where I'm at here. There we go. We've already seen the principle of first appearances for Hamatar points to, or it's actually Himtir, points to Yahweh's raining of fire and brimstone upon Sodom and Gomorrah. As, okay, BWC greatly elaborates on, I'm not sure who that is, the curses against Sodom and Gomorrah were a bitter water curse, just as Noah's flood was, except it was fire and brimstone instead of water. In fact, a prime feature of Sodom and Gomorrah's cursing is that the cities were inundated, overwhelmed by the Dead Sea, which permanently flooded the entire plains of the cities. Okay, so it must be that there was such volcanic activity that it not only came up from the ground, but it was rained down on top of them. And then it literally, the foundation of the ground must have just fallen apart, and the sea came in then. It went below sea level and the sea came in, which permanently flooded the entire plains of the cities. There is further eerie similarity linking Lilith's creation account to elements of Noah's flood. In Noah's flood, the foundation of the deep broke through the earth and contributed to the flood. In Lilith's creation story, we have a similar phenomena: the mist which erupted from the earth and watered her body. There is also evidence for Lilith's generations being Nephilim in an odd reversal in the opening phrase of the doublets. String B says, these are the beginnings of the earth in the day Yahweh made the heavens. String A says, these are the beginnings of the heavens in the day Yahweh made the earth. Why the reversal? The explanation for string B is that the beginnings of the earth, Adam's generations, were planned and established by Elohim when he created the heavens at the beginning of time. So Yahweh did plan Adam's creation. The explanation for string A is that the beginnings of the heavens, fallen angels mating with Lilith and the daughters of man, were not planned and established until Yahweh created the earth. So it's like the devil saw what was going on, that Yahweh would create Adam, and that he was creating a new thing in the earth, and he was putting a beautiful garden there. And the devil and these fallen angels decided, well, we're going to go down there and we're going to corrupt what Yahweh is doing, because, you know, they were thrown out of heaven. They were in rebellion. So they wanted to mess up what Yahweh was doing, you know, the good plans that Yahweh had. Okay. The explanation for string A is that the beginnings of the heavens, fallen angels mating with Lilith and the daughters of man were not planned and established until Yahweh created the earth. Only then could the angels see the daughters of man upon the earth and become tempted to perform their illicit unions with them. These notions were confirmed by details in the passages. Verse 5 states that before Yahweh's raining down of curses, there was no siach in the earth. Okay, this is in contrast to the cultivated herbs of Adam's generations, which were present in earth. Now, isn't that something that says that after the fall, thorns and thistles, now in the English, that's what it says, came up after the fall. Wow. Okay, so called were present in the earth, but had not yet sprouted. That the siach previously did not exist in the earth implies that the siach were fathered from something outside the earth. This is the fathering spirit of the watchers, who are the angels that descended from heaven to mate with the daughters of man and Lilith. Adam's cultivated herbs, or his generations, were said to already be present in the earth because the complete genealogy of Adam's generations were present on the earth at his creation from the dust. For Eve was taken from his side, and through these two, all men came to be. Okay, so essentially here, the book of Enoch talks about this. Remember, they came down, these 200 watchers came down to Mount Hermon, and they made a pact. And apparently one of them got with Lilith, because by that time she had left Adam because she didn't want to submit to Adam. There's a lot of tales about that too, as you know, exactly why there was a lot of submission issues. But even in the sexual realm, you know, at least that's what the rabbis say, but I won't elaborate on that. But anyway, so what happened is that you have these 200 watchers, they come down, and then they see the daughters of men are fair. These would be the descendants of Adam, human beings, flesh and blood human beings. And so these angels must have taken on flesh and went in and had sex with these human women, and they produced this race of giants in the earth. According to the book of Enoch, which the Ethiopian church considers canon, by the way, and a literal reading of Genesis chapter 6. And if you doubt that's the correct reading of Genesis chapter 6, then you have to ask an even greater question. Why is it that the early church fathers interpreted it that way? They did. And And a lot of the other philosophers of that time did too. I don't have time to get into that, but okay. So Adam's cultivated herbs. His generation was said to already be present in the earth because the completed genealogy of Adam's generations were present on the earth at his creation from the dust, for Eve was taken from his side, and through these two all men came to be. Okay, so now we're at the generational story of Genesis 2:4-7. Let me see what our time is here. I try not to let these go beyond an hour. Oh, I'm at 40 minutes, so I got a little bit of time here. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so let's go on a little further here. We've got the generational story of Genesis 2:4-7. Before we do that, let's look at Genesis 2:4-7. Okay. So, and by the seventh day, Yahweh had finished the work he had been doing. So on that day, he rested from all his work. Then Yahweh blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because on that day he rested from all the work of creation that he had accomplished. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created in the day that Yahweh Elohim made them. Now no shrub of the field had yet appeared on the earth, nor, look at that, isn't that something? Nor had any plant of the field sprouted, for Yahweh Elohim had not yet sent rain upon the earth, and there was no man to cultivate the ground. Now the argument is, when it says not yet sent rain, it's talking about a judgment. But springs welled up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Then Yahweh Elohim formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed the breath of life into his nostrils, and the man became a living being. Okay, so that's the passage they're looking at here. There is one more remarkable point to note. When one becomes equipped with a full understanding of what the passages are conveying, then in looking back at the sentence doublets, we could see that they reveal the entire history of the generations they discussed. To ease the reading of this history, let us reverse the order of the 3rd through 5th doublets, as they are written in reverse chronological order. This is done in table 3.3. Text in brackets in the table and its corresponding reconstructions below are added information. This information is based on mystical meanings of the words used and a general knowledge of events that can be obtained from sources outside the passages. Okay. So let's see, part 1, and go all the way down. The generational story, string A doublets. These are the beginnings of the heavens in its creation. Then over here, these are the beginnings of the earth and its creation. So you got the heavens and the earth. In the day that Yahweh Elohim had made the earth, in the day that Jehovah had made the heavens, okay, and there rose up a mist from the earth and watered the entire face of the woman. Now notice, he's interpreting woman here where it says in the Hebrew text, ha'adamah. This is the Lilith theory, understand, in this verse 2:6. And where it says water the face of the earth, the King James interpret it to mean earth, because ha'adamah can refer to the ground. But remember that Adam, that the Lilith theory says that Adam and Lilith both came from the ground. Eve didn't come from the ground. She came directly from Adam, from his rib. Okay, so he says here, and there rose up a mist from the earth and watered the entire face of the woman. And here's over here, and Yahweh Elohim formed the man of the dust from the woman and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. That could be that dual creation thing going, or the dual male and female there. And she became defiled and went astray and bore seed to the watchers, and Yahweh Elohim rained down upon the earth the curses of Noah's blood. Look at that. Okay, but the man fell, and he and his generations were cursed, and Adam, the man, and Eve served the curses of the defiled woman. Served the curses. In other words, we're looking at this from a metaphysical standpoint. They were in a bad situation because now Lilith was responsible for, or along with these 200 angels, were coming down and creating this race of giants upon the earth. They were very violent, and they taught mankind, according to the book of Enoch, they taught mankind how to make weapons, how to do magic, how to do incantation. They taught the women how to even kill their babies so that they would retain their figures. All of this is recounted in the book of Enoch, book 1, the book of Enoch. Okay, and then here it is, part 3. And the woman's seed was slain and cast down in chains into the earth. So notice that. Why does it? It talks about in several places in the New Testament how the devils, these spirits, these are slain. They're kept in the earth. Also, the book of Jubilees says that that most of these spirits, these disembodied spirits that were destroyed by the flood, it says that the devil shows up. They have a different name for the devil. I'm trying to remember what his name is in the book of Jubilees. Mastema. That's just kind of a code word for the devil. So Satan shows up. They call him Mastema in the book of Jubilees, and he shows up before the throne of Elohim and says, look, you can't take all of these souls and put them down in chains, because who am I going to have then on the earth to punish mankind when they violate your rules? See, this is in the book of Jubilees. And so the woman's seed was slain and cast down in chains into the earth. That's right. So when it says the woman's seed, is talking about Lilith's seed. Lilith and Samael, and then these human women that got with these other fallen angels and produced the race of giants. The giants were destroyed in the flood, and so they're disembodied spirits. Most of them are down there, chained up in hell. But there's a small portion of them, according to the book of Jubilees, there's a small portion that were left to roam the earth and punish mankind when they forsook the creation, the laws of Elohim. They punish mankind for that. And all their complaining voices of the field came to be in the earth, okay? But Adam, the man, and Eve were redeemed, starting with the birth of Seth, okay? And all cultivated herbs of the field sprouted. Okay, so that's that doublet. Interesting. Note in part 4 of the doublets, I interpret the passages as saying that Adam, the man, and Eve would serve the curses of the woman Lilith. This notion is supported by Genesis 2:23, which states that after Yahweh cursed the man Adam, he ejected the man from the garden to serve Ha'adamah, from which he was taken. The Ha'adamah from which the man Adam was taken is the wedded soil that became Lilith. Okay, the readings of the table are provided below. Okay, so this is the string B story of the generations of the earth. These are the beginnings of the earth and its creation in the day that Yahweh Elohim made the heavens. Yahweh Elohim formed the man from the dust of the woman, for example, that part of her body not defiled by the mist, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Then he has in brackets, but the man fell. And Adam, the man, and Eve served the curses of the defiled woman. In other words, because of what she did, it created conditions that were so bad, it was cursing conditions. And that Adam was stuck in that condition because of what Lilith had done with the fallen watchers and what the watchers had done with human women, and producing this race of giants who the book of Enoch says were extremely violent. They were evil continually. They were like sexual perverts. They were horrible, horrible creatures. But Adam, the man and his wife Eve, were redeemed starting with the birth of Seth, and all the herbs of the field sprouted. Yahweh's intended generations of the original Adam finally came to be, okay? So Adam, even in the midst of that garbage, was having children, and it led to the line of Noah, who was unblemished. He was perfect in all of his ways. And Yahweh chose Noah then in an ark when he sent the flood to destroy all these offspring of giants and this genetic corruption in the earth. Destroyed the flood, or sent the flood to destroy all that. And then Noah then began fresh on the other side of the flood with his generations. And that's really where our history picks up. You, me, everyone out there that's human being, that's where our history picks up, really, from Noah after the flood. Okay, let's see. All the herbs of the field sprouted. Yahweh's intended generations of the original Adam finally came to be. Okay, so that's string B. Now let's look at string A. These are the beginnings of the heavens and its creation of the day that Yahweh Elohim made the earth. And there rose up a mist from the earth and watered the entire face of the woman. And she became, now it's interpreting ha'adamah in this case as woman, that being Lilith. And she became defiled and went astray and bore seed to the watchers. And this entire part right here where it says she was defiled, she became defiled, it means that she turned her heart away in rebellion to Yahweh and his order. She would not submit to Adam, her husband. So she left him and decided to shack up with the first demon she could find. It turned out to be Samael, I believe. And they had children. This was one of these fallen angels that came down, these watchers. And so because of that, Yahweh Elohim rained down upon the earth the curses of Noah's flood, and woman's seed was slain and cast down in chains into the earth. And all the complaining, disembodied voices of the field came to be in the earth. Interesting. Now, here's another scripture, too, that I thought about. This is a scripture in, I think it's in Peter. Let's see. No, in Jude. It's in Jude. Okay, here it is. Jude 1:6. Now, I want to remind you, I'm going to start in verse 5. Now, I want to remind you, although you once fully knew it, that Yeshua, who saved a people out of the land of Egypt. This Egypt, it could be idiomatic. In this understanding, it could be idiomatic of fallen, cursed creation. Siak, or not Siak, but matar, rain, like judgment. Afterward, destroyed those who did not believe. And here it is. And the angels, these would be the watchers, as spoken of in the book of Enoch, who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling. In other words, they came down from heaven on Mount Hermon, and they made a pact among themselves and said, hey, let's go have sex with human women so that we have children in the earth. And of course, little did they know, or maybe they did know, maybe they just didn't care, that their children would be grotesque creatures. Isn't that something? Okay, so because of that, the flood came. That was judgment. And so all these disembodied souls were chained up down there in hell, except for a certain portion, according to the book of Jubilees, when Mastema makes his petition to the throne of Elohim. Okay, those are the ones that are still roaming around the earth, cursing people and punishing them, punishing people for not obeying the laws of Elohim. Okay. Now, what does it say about these? It says he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day, just as Sodom and Gomorrah in the around the cities, which likewise indulged in sexual immorality. Notice the connection to sexual immorality here. And pursued unnatural desire. Notice this. That's homosexuality. That's LGBTQ crap that's going on there. And guess what? Did you know that that in some of these apocryphal works, it actually talks about that these giant offspring were homosexuals. Okay, they pursued unnatural desires, serve an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. So they're down there. They're in hell. Okay, so that's another one that I thought that would bring up here. Okay, so in summary, the Lilith legend alone is consistent with the elaborate doublet construct of the passage comprising Genesis 2, 4 through 6. Okay, Genesis 2, 4 through 6. Okay, this is the account of the heavens and the earth. Here it is right here. The man and woman in the garden. This is the account of the heaven. Now, notice all of this stuff right here. This just put in by editors. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created and the day that Yahweh Elohim made them. Now no shrub of the field yet appeared on the earth, nor had any plant of the field sprouted, for Yahweh Elohim had not yet sent rain upon the earth. That is idiomatic of the flood, the great flood. And there was no man to cultivate the ground, but springs welled up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Then Yahweh Elohim formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed the breath of life into his nostrils, and the man became a living being. Okay. Okay, so in summary, the Lilith legend alone is consistent with the elaborate doublet construct of the passages comprising in Genesis 2:4-6. Only her rival generation to Adam's explains the rival generations of the heavens and the earth. Only her body's animation by the mist, which erupted from the earth, can complete the mirror counterpart to Adam's animation from Yahweh's spirit that the doublet construction demands. I hold that this analysis of these passages is a slam dunk for the case of Lilith. Further evidence is hardly necessary. However, there is so much more. Okay, let me see what our time is here. All right, 56 minutes. Let's see here what we got. Maybe we can finish up this one part here. No, I think I'm going to leave that for this time. I think I'm going to leave that. That's where we'll leave off. All right, guys. I hope that this was interesting. It's very interesting for me as I go through this material again. Hey, if you want to join one of these, I put the link there, hmisrael.video. That'll get you into this Zoom room, and we can discuss a little bit of this together. You know, I think it should work. I think that that link should work. Here it is here. www.hmisrael.video will get you into a Zoom room. This Zoom room. Okay, I think this is probably all the classes I'm going to be doing today. I did the Hebrew already today for you guys, and this is sort of the just kind of a special topic class. And we'll try to do it. I'll try to get some more together, you know, when it can, unless the fancy strikes me. Maybe a little later tonight. I don't know what I might do, but I hope you guys find this interesting, and put some comments down below if you can. Put some comments down below. I like the comments. You know, I kind of like this to be a collaborative study effort. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great afternoon, and I think it's time for lunch. So shalom, shalom.